When I say grass Pokemon, you probably immediately think of the little plant fellas like Oddish, or your favorite grass starter like Bulbasaur. But grass types actually have some pretty great range when it comes to their designs. In this video, we will go over what, in my opinion, are the best designed grass type Pokemon. Meaning, if your favorite grass type isn't on this list, don't take it personally, because this is a subjective list after all. But before we talk about the top 5 best designed grass type Pokemon, let's first talk about the honorable mentions. Our first honorable mention is Exeggutor, with the Kanto and Alolan forms being bunched together for the sake of this video. Exeggutor is an absolute classic design from all the way back in Generation 1. The Derpish charm has always held a place in my heart, and the Alolan form was such a perfect design for this Pokemon that matched that region so well. I really wanted to have Exeggutor on this list of the best grass types, but just couldn't fit it in. So I knew I had to at least squeeze it in as an honorable mention. Ever since I picked up Pokemon Diamond for the first time as a kid, I've always loved picking Torterra as my partner to take on the Sinnoh region. Its design draws inspiration from the world turtle in Hindu and Chinese mythology, which is said to carry the earth on its back. But even though it's my favorite starter Pokemon, I couldn't put it ahead of any of the top 5 designs on this list. The last honorable mention is Mega Sceptile. With this being one of my favorite Mega designs, it was a close call between this Pokemon and number 5 on the list. One of my favorite aspects about its design being that the Christmas tree tail becomes a lightning rod thanks to its new ability, which feels super random, but is a pretty creative ability to give Mega Sceptile. Okay, now it's time for the top 5 best grass type Pokemon of all time. Starting off the list at number 5, we've got Tropius, one of the most underrated grass types ever, though it definitely does have its niche fans out there. Tropius was introduced in Generation 3, and is still the only grass and flying type Pokemon besides the Hoppip and Rowlet lines, which makes it more of a unique typing than I originally thought. I've always been a big fan of dinosaur Pokemon, and Tropius being based on a sauropod automatically gives it bonus points in my book, and it can fly with its leaf wings. Every time I see this thing flying, I think, there's no way this thing should be capable of flight, but that's exactly why it's so good. It's goofy, and it fits the Pokemon world perfectly. One of my favorite details is that the fruit around Tropius' neck actually grows there because it eats its favorite fruit non-stop. Imagine consuming a food so much that it literally starts growing out of your body. Now if I could do that, I'd probably start growing Taco Bell quesadillas. Rest in peace. Its abilities make a lot of sense though. Chlorophyll, Solar Power, and its hidden ability Harvest match Tropius' whole Leaf Wing, Photosynthesis, and Grass type vibe perfectly. Once the berry is consumed by the Pokemon that was holding it, Harvest gives the user a 50% chance of growing a new berry at the end of each turn, which specifically makes sense with Tropius because it's literally growing the fruit itself under its chin. Tropius nails everything I love in a grass type: a clear, creative concept, abilities that match its whole identity, and that perfect blend of goofy and believable that makes this Pokemon feel like a Pokemon. That's why it fits perfectly in my number 5 spot. Coming in at number 4, we've got Appleton. Even though it definitely has a solid fan base already, I think it's another sleeper pick for one of the best grass types. Appleton was introduced in Generation 8, and its grass dragon typing is still one of the most unique combos in the series, shared only by the rest of the Applin line if you don't count Alolan Exeggutor. Appleton evolves from Applin through the use of a sweet apple item, and appears as a big round Pokemon with its top layer resembling an apple pie. One of the wildest things about this Pokemon is that it's basically edible. Its entire body is made of sweet apple pie. The Pokedex literally says kids use it as a snack by eating the sweet pie crust growing on its back. And honestly, I kinda love that. And I imagine an Appleton wandering around my house leaving the smell of a freshly baked pie everywhere it goes. This is 100% a fall season Pokemon, and I definitely don't feel the need to explain what I mean. It's perfect, and it feels like it would be a super laid back and cozy Pokemon to have. One of my favorite obscure features though is its eyes. If you look at a still image of Appleton, you might think it's hiding them under its little droopy ears, but nope, those are its eyes. The whole evolution line has this goofy eyes thing going on, and it makes me appreciate them even more. When I first saw Applin, I was super confused on the concept initially, but now I'm genuinely a big fan of the whole line's concept. Little dragons hiding inside apples that evolve based on the kind of apple you give them. It's such a creative twist on what a grass and dragon Pokemon could be. Its abilities match its concept perfectly too. Gluttony, Ripen, and Thick Fat as its hidden ability, with Ripen being its signature ability that lets it double the effects of berries, which is a sweet nod to an apple pie themed Pokemon. Appleton brings together everything I love in a Pokemon design. A super fun concept, quirky details, and abilities that make perfect sense for its theme. That's why it fits so well for me in the number 4 spot. At number 3, we've got Ludicolo, one of, if not the most fun Pokemon ever, and a fantastic candidate for the 3rd best grass type. Even though it's been around since Generation 3, it still feels like a top tier design that hasn't aged a bit. Its grass water typing makes it the only evolution line with that combination, which comes as a shock to me. When you think about the fact that Ludicolo has been around for over 20 years, I feel like there would have been another grass and water type, but there hasn't been. I've loved this evolution line ever since I played Pokemon Emerald, and it definitely peaks with its final evolution. From the moment it hits the battlefield, it just oozes personality. The Pokedex entries even say that it begins dancing as soon as it hears cheerful, festive music, and that its cells get activated when it hears an upbeat rhythm. Every time I see it boogie in battle, I just know it's having the time of its life, and I can't help but love it completely. Ludicolo is primarily based on a Kappa, a Japanese yokai, with a water-filled dish on its head, which is very clear in this Pokemon's design. One of my favorite parts of its design is the poncho-like fur and sombrero-shaped hat, or is it its head? Also, the name Ludicolo seems to be a nod to the Spanish word ridiculo, which I probably just butchered, but means ridiculous, which honestly perfectly encapsulates it. Ludicolo is goofy, fun, and an absolute memorable design. Its abilities also match the concept beautifully. Swift Swim works perfectly with the Kappa folklore. Rain Dish is clearly represented with its giant sombrero, and Own Tempo, its hidden ability, ties into its carefree, laid-back vibe. Everything about it feels intentional. I've loved this Pokemon for a long time, and I honestly couldn't imagine it outside the top 3 grass types. If you created a concoction of creativity, unique concept, and elite execution, you'd get Ludicolo. That's why it comfortably sits at the number 3 spot on my list. But what could possibly be better than that? Well, Trevenant. Trevenant is one of the coolest grass types Game Freak has ever put out, and easily one of my favorite designs in the entire franchise. Trevenant was introduced in Generation 6 and evolves from Phantump through trade. Trevenant is a grass, ghost-type Pokemon, and while that type combination isn't super rare, with 9 other Pokemon sharing it, Trevenant still manages to stand out in a big way for me. What makes Trevenant special is how much personality it has and the lore that's packed into its concept. The Pokedex straight up says that Trevenant will devour anyone who destroys its home, but it treats Pokemon and humans kindly as long as they respect the forest. It acts as this really cool guardian spirit, almost like the warden of the forest, which it can control and feel because its own nervous system is connected to the trees of the forest. Its design seems to be loosely based on a Kodama, which is a spirit from Japanese mythology said to inhabit old trees, while also taking inspiration from deadwood with the twisty branches seen in its horns and its silly root legs. Well, they are silly, but could also be seen as creepy if you saw this thing at night. Imagine those legs scurrying past you in a thick forest in the dead of night. Yeah, no thanks. Anyways, I'm also a huge fan of the bushy wrist cuffs it has to go along with the leaves sprouting from its head. It's a really cool touch that ties this design together for me. Trevenant also has a set of abilities that fit the concept exactly how you'd expect. Natural Cure makes total sense for a grass type. Frisk is fun and kind of sneaky, plays into its ghost type a little. And its hidden ability, Harvest, also matches really well. Of course, the tree can harvest some berries if it wants. But one of the coolest things Trevenant has in its bag is its signature move, Forest Curse. When this move hits an opponent, it adds the grass type to them. If they're a single type Pokemon, now they're dual type. If they're dual type, congratulations, you are now a triple type Pokemon. For the battle, of course. Which is such a rare mechanic in Pokemon that I almost never think about. Such a fun curveball. Trevenant is one of those Pokemon that takes a very specific, very stylized concept and executes it so cleanly that it becomes unforgettable for me. Trevenant feels like it fits seamlessly in the Pokemon world but still stands out as a very unique Pokemon, and especially for a grass type. Trevenant is perfect. It's got a really great concept, it has some great lore, it really stands out from other grass types, and it was so close to taking the number 1 spot. But there's one grass type design I think is just a little bit better. Our number 1 spot is also a grass and ghost type Pokemon. It's a fan favorite, and the basic stage of its evolution line was one of my favorite starters ever revealed. The number 1 grass type of all time is Decidueye, the grass type starter from the Sun and Moon games. Decidueye does have a Hisuian form from Legends Arceus, which is cool in its own way, but for this list, we're talking about the original Alolan Decidueye, the one that instantly became a favorite of mine the moment I saw its final evolution. Decidueye is primarily based on the Pueo, a native Hawaiian owl associated with ancestral spirits known as Amakua in Hawaiian culture. I just know I'm just butchering these. These spirits are believed to watch over their descendants with loving concern, offering guidance, protection, and warnings of danger or misfortune. On top of that, Decidueye's Robin Hood influence clearly shines through. The hooded cloak and the archer theming definitely calls back to the legendary outlaw from English folklore, who was also a skilled archer that stole from the rich to give to the poor. which its signature ability, also drawing inspiration from this Archer theming, called Long Reach, which states that the Pokemon uses its moves without making contact with the target, ignoring abilities like Cursed Body, Static, and Gooey. I think owls are some of the coolest birds on the planet, and I was really hoping for Rowlet's final evolution to be a great Pokemon design. And when I saw Decidueye, I instantly loved it. The whole Archer theme makes perfect sense because owls have some of the best eyesight on the planet. So of course Decidueye would be a pinpoint accurate archer, with one of its Pokedex entries stating how it tugs the vines on its head, closing its hood to a tight center point to focus, when it can't afford to miss. Those small pieces of lore elevate the design details I already love. These are the extra mile details that make Decidueye feel intentionally crafted from every angle. It's an incredible concept with some of the best execution I've ever seen in a Pokemon. Decidueye also gets a signature move. Spirit Shackle is a physical Ghost type move with 80 base power, which is a rarity for Ghost types, which also has the secondary effect of preventing the target from switching as long as Decidueye stays in battle. It literally stitches the target's shadow to the ground using its arrows. What a cool signature move, which combines its Archer and Spirit theming. Decidueye takes an amazing concept, fantastic theming, great lore inspiration, and ties it all together with some incredible execution to create, in my opinion, the best Grass type Pokemon of all time. I could have gone with any Grass types for this list, but I really took my time with these picks, looking at design, lore, concepts, the whole package, to lock in my picks for what I genuinely believe are the top 5 best Grass types in the entire franchise. I hope you enjoyed this list, and hope you aren't too mad with my picks. And hey, if you like this breakdown, I've got plans to cover every single type just like this. So hit subscribe, because you're not going to want to miss the next ones. And if you made it all the way to the end, like the video and comment Botanical, so I know you made it. Alright, that's all I've got. I hope you have a great rest of your day.